the stage is set for one of the most unexpected religious shifts of the 21st century. As of September 2025, a revival led not by seasoned pastors or old denominations, but by Gen Z is reshaping the nation's spiritual landscape. Reports highlight how young Brazilians are filling churches, flooding social media with testimonies, and even carrying the gospel deep into the rainforest. The movement is spreading like wildfire, cutting across geography and class. To understand why, we need to step back and trace the story of Brazil's faith, where it began, how it is transformed, and why the youth are now at the center. Brazil's religious identity was forged in the 1500s, when Portuguese explorers brought Catholicism, which dominated for centuries. But in the 20th century, new winds blew. Protestant missionaries, especially Pentecostals, arrived, and the message of healing, personal faith, and vibrant worship found fertile ground. By the 1980s, charismatic revivals in cities like Sao Paulo drew millions, offering something more immediate and emotional than traditional Catholicism. Brazil transitioned into a secular democracy in 1988, but faith never faded. Instead, it diversified. Today, Brazil remains the world's largest Catholic nation with 123 million Catholics, 58% of the population. But evangelicals have surged to 65 million, about 31% of Brazilians. Projections suggest that by 2032, evangelicals could represent half the country. This rapid shift is fueled not only by theology but by context, economic hardship. Poverty still grips a quarter of the population, and the promise of hope and transformation that faith provides. Enter Gen Z. Globally, young people are reviving faith movements, from campus revivals in the US to prayer gatherings in Africa. In Brazil, Gen Z has embraced the role with unique energy. Brazil's demographics makes this significant. Nearly 70% of its people are under 40. But youth face an unemployment rate of 15%, high urban violence, and persistent inequality. Many are searching for identity and stability. Increasingly, they are finding it in Christianity. Social media amplifies their voice. On TikTok and Instagram, testimonies of transformation spread to millions. In September 2025, mass rallies in the Amazon rainforest drew thousands, culminating in baptisms along the riverbanks. Churches report youth groups swelling by 20% this year alone. This is revival, but it's revival on Gen Z's terms, digitally native, musically infused, and socially conscious. The stories are striking. In remote Amazon villages, young missionaries paddle by canoe to reach tribes previously untouched by evangelical movements. In Rio's favelas, youth groups organize faith festivals that blend Samba rhythms with worship, drawing crowds of tens of thousands. Yet, this awakening isn't free of obstacles. Environmental destruction threatens both the land and the indigenous communities tied to it. President Lula's administration in 2025 prioritized environmental protection, aligning with churches that preach stewardship of creation, but also reigniting debates about religion's role in politics. One young leader, Maria, 21, grew up in a favela. She recalls a childhood surrounded by violence and despair. But Jesus changed me, she says. Now our group reaches kids online and in the streets. Her story is not unique. It mirrors a broader pattern of brokenness giving way to conviction. Observers have drawn parallels to the Jesus movement in 1970s America, a youth-driven revival that blended countercultural energy with Christian faith. But the Brazilian version carries its own rhythm, infused with cultural pride and the sounds of Samba. Brazil's Christians also face rising secularism, occasional attacks on churches, and tightening restrictions on public evangelism. Yet, Gen Z is proving resilient. They've pioneered green faith initiatives, combining reforestation projects with gospel preaching. They've leveraged post-COVID momentum to draw young men, often absent in church demographics, back into leadership. A theologian put it plainly, this revival is real. 8 out of 10 new converts are under 30. Apps are being used not just for entertainment, but for discipleship. Instagram feeds and WhatsApp groups have become mission fields. The ripple effect is spreading beyond Brazil, inspiring similar movements in neighboring Latin American nations. Brazil's awakening is more than a religious trend, it's a cultural force. It is reshaping communities, reframing politics, and redefining what it means to be young and faithful in the global south. The Amazon has long been described as the lungs of the earth. Perhaps now it is also the beating heart of a new generation spiritual revival. And as history shows, when youth movements ignite, they rarely stay contained within borders. The question is not whether this revival is happening. It is. The question is how far it will go and whether it will endure.